Okay, so the response on the first FPL video of the year was amazing. Thank you so much to everyone that left a like and left a comment. And thank you to all of those that have joined the league. The league code is still down in the description below should you wish to join the Munch Invitational in FPL. And this week I'm going to be focusing on the 5 teams that have got the best start to the season on paper. First up, it's my team, Liverpool. You can see why I picked them first. I don't even try to not be biased on this channel. So for this week, it's going to be focusing on the 5 teams that got the best games in between Game Week 1 and Game Week 10. What I'm doing is I'm taking into account the team's difficulty, obviously the teams that they're playing, as well as probably how good the team actually is that will be playing those games. And obviously Liverpool, despite not having the best season last year, with the return of Virgil van Dijk and hopefully the form of some of their players that actually won them the title back in 1920, I do kind of think that they are probably second to Manchester City at the moment in running for the title, and Manchester United are running them both very, very close. You can probably throw Chelsea into that as well, but they've still got Werner up front. So, in terms of Liverpool then, you look at the early fixtures and you have to say they do look very good on paper. Obviously there are some standout fixtures there with Manchester United, Manchester City and Chelsea, but you have to remember that the Manchester City and Chelsea games are both at Anfield, and Anfield with a full crowd is very different to last year where there were no fans. You only had to see at the end of the season where Liverpool managed to get fans in what a difference it made to the team, and obviously they finished the season off in supreme form to claim 3rd place even though they had an injury ravaged season and arguably did not play anywhere near as well as they could do. You look at the fixtures other than those of the big 6 and you have to say it looks very favourable for Liverpool. Starting off at Carrow Road against Norwich, then you've got Burnley, Leeds, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Watford and Brighton and Hove Albion. All teams you would probably expect to be maybe within that relegation battle with the exception of Leeds and maybe Burnley, but even then 2 teams that really shouldn't give Liverpool too many problems and dangers. And obviously they've got the 3 promoted teams all within the space of the first 10 game weeks. Arguably this is actually the most difficult time to play them because they've got that new game bounce, but you do fancy that with a team as seasoned as Liverpool was, and if they are all fit and firing, then you would expect them to have a very, very strong start to the season. And with that in mind, it might be an idea to load up on some Liverpool players. Within this little mini-series this week, all I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on 3 players that you could potentially get from all the teams. Mainly 2, usually one will be a premium, one will be a kind of must-have, and then the other one will be a kind of lower sleeper pick in terms of usage, okay? If you want to call this the premium and must-have, then you may as well do, because of course, Mohamed Salah. He is FPL royalty. He has finished in the top 3 scoring players in every season that he has been in FPL for Liverpool. He is absolutely phenomenal and his returns cannot be underestimated. Obviously his price this year is 12.5 million. He is a joint most expensive I believe with Harry Kane this year. It is hard to obviously see past that. He's got a usage at the time of recording of 50%. Please notice that obviously the TSB, aka the usage of how many players have got him in the game, is based upon the recording date. So at the moment that is Sunday the, 18th of July. Okay, it's quite late at night as well. But obviously that's just under half the game have got him in their team. So he's not a differential, but he is a player that can really, really hurt you if he has a good day in relation to your overall rank and probably within your own little mini leagues. I know that he will definitely be part of my team. He has been pretty much in my team every single week since he arrived in the Premier League, unless he's been injured, which is very rare. Another reason why, touch wood, as a Liverpool fan, you should want to keep him in your team. Last year he got 231 points in the FPL, coming behind I think it was Bruno Fernandes and Harry Kane. So pretty good overall. And a fact for you all is that Mohamed Salah scored on the opening weekend of every single season that he's been at Liverpool. Considering the fact obviously that he is going to newly promoted Norwich at Carrow Road on the first day, he is always a very good option for captaincy, especially against teams outside of the top 6, although last year he's actually increased the rate at which he scores against the big 6, so continuously improving. He'll obviously be going for the golden boot again. Mohamed Salah is simply a must-have. And of course you could say the same for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yes, he was nowhere near his best last season. It was very well documented. He had a very poor start to the season, defensively always being caught out. But since getting dropped by Gareth Southgate, I believe it was in March, his form completely upturned and he was a crucial part in Liverpool getting into the Champions League positions. He is still the most expensive defender in the game at £7.5 million, and his left back counterpart Andy Robertson is at £7 million. He is also a potentially good option, but I do feel the options with Trent are just that little bit more, and he has the proven history to go with it. 27.3% of the game actually own him right now, which kind of makes him almost a must-have. He's not really a massive differential, but he's also a player that can, and considering Liverpool's fixtures, really, really hurt you. If Liverpool can shore up at the back, like they did the season beforehand with the return of Van Dijk and the new signing of Konate, as well as the emergence of Nat Phillips, it is safe to say that they should be defensively a lot more solid than they were last year, and you do imagine that's going to give Trent even more license to bomb on and whip in those delicious crosses that we all know he is capable of. Last season he only got 160 points, but he was still, despite apparently having a very poor season, the second highest scoring defender, only 1 point behind counterpart Andy Robertson. So that goes to show that even when he's had a bad year, from an FPL point of view, he's still pretty much a necessity to have. It's just whether you can weigh up having £7.5 million paying for that. But at the same time, if he's going to improve this year, his price could rocket very quickly and you could get left a little bit behind. I could see him potentially beating the £8 million mark this year, and that would be some feat. A little fact for you as well, last season was actually the first season where Trent AlexanderArnold did not actually register double figures for assists. I expect that to change this year. He also obviously takes free kicks, direct and indirect, so obviously there is always the threat of assists from corners, from set pieces out wide, and of course from directly scoring from them, as we've all seen him be able to do. He does enjoy doing that against Chelsea as well, who they're playing game week 3, just as a heads up. Even a potential differential captaincy option, I wouldn't do that. Try not to make your defenders captains. Trust me, I've tried. And, of course, then, it is onto the sleeper here. And it's quite difficult in Liverpool because they've got quite a well-established first 11. And obviously, most of the players in there are premium players. So, who do you go for? Diogo Jota is the answer. Where do you start with Diogo Jota? Had a very mixed bag last season. I think the overall consensus is that he played very well. The problem is that he got a number of injuries and obviously kind of got rotated quite a lot. But at one point, he was actually Liverpool's sort of semi-go-to man along with Mohamed Salah. Those two were the only real bright sparks of Liverpool as a forward unit last year. He got 9 goals, which actually equalled his highest ever goal-scoring Premier League season, and he is only going to get better with age. He's classed as a midfielder, but I believe there's a likelihood that he could end up playing up front, maybe in a joint role with Mohamed Salah. And by that I mean Roberto Firmino, who obviously is normally Liverpool's number 9, has been out for a longer period, obviously with Brazil in the Copa America, and there may be a need for him to be rested before the start of the season, which may actually focus on Diogo Jota moving into that role, potentially even on the left, and then Mane or Salah could have the striker role. Either way, his goals to minute ratio is very, very high, and I do feel that at a modest £7.5 million, he could be a very cheap way into the Liverpool front line. Whether you want to bring him and Salah in for a combined £20 million, which is a fifth of your budget, is completely up to you. I am not against doing that, especially when his usage is just over 11%. So he is a slight differential, and I do think that he's going to have a very strong start to the season, or he's got the potential of a very strong start to the season. He only got 86 points last year, but again, that was kind of semi-ravaged by injury, also due to the fact that there was obviously the move that kind of happened on the in-between. Even with Firmino there, Klopp has been known to play a 4-2-3-1 with Firmino, Jota, Salah and Mane playing, which is definitely one that they'll play probably for home games against teams outside of the top 6. That seems to be the way that Liverpool tend to operate against those teams. At least it looked that way last year, and they began to kind of get used to the formation towards the end of the season, whether that's Jota pushing up into the striker position or Mohamed Salah. The option is there, and I think he's going to get a lot more minutes than people actually think that he is. So he is my sleeper at a modest £7.5 million. Diogo Jota is maybe a cheaper way into a very good potential Liverpool side. That's it then for the first of this little mini-series this week of my FPL with the 5 teams that have got the best fixtures to start the season with. I hope that obviously you've enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed the kind of information, the layout of it, as long as the graphics and me talking over it, then do let me know. These are obviously kind of new to me. I'm happy to kind of work it the way that people would like me to. I'd like to think obviously I've given you as much information as I can. I'm no expert on the game, but I tend to do alright at it. So FPL is a game I think it's quite easy to be alright at, but not a very easy game to be good at, if that makes any sense. Hopefully I'll make that transition this year. But thank you so much for watching this episode. I will see you tomorrow for the next team in there, and I will keep them a little secret for you. But until I see you then, make sure that you please like, share and subscribe if you want to see more of this sort of content, and obviously more of the bike noises in the background. Until I see you then, take care of yourselves everyone, and stay cool. Bye.